calendar here. So on Wednesdays we make cards. I'm going to start doing card tutorials every Wednesday, so make sure to hit the subscribe and click the notification bell, and remember to come and join me on a Wednesday. So the cards that I want to share with you are going to be what I call construction cards or mechanical cards. So this is today's. I'm going to show you step by step, really easy how to make this one. It's very beautiful and it pops up like so. Absolutely stunning, perfect for beginners. So let's start making. So you're going to need 4 pieces of cardstock for this to make the card. So the card base is 6 by 6, so this measures 12 by 6. We've scored it down the middle at 6 and that makes our base. Then you want 2 cards for the internal pieces. These measure 4 by 4. And then to make the pop-up mechanism itself, you need a piece that measures 4 by 2. And that's all inches. I work in inches. Okay, you're going to need some patterned paper and then a focal image. So I'm using this beautiful foiled patterned paper, which is just from a scrapbooking pad that I bought locally. And then for my focal images, I'm using a free digital that I offered on my Facebook group called Queen Bee. So the link to the group's below if you want to grab yourself this. Okay, so let's start. So we're just going to put our 4x4s and the mechanism to one side, and the first thing you need to do is mat and layer the inside and the outside of the card with your scrapbooking paper. Now I've cut these to 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, so we're just literally going to layer this on here. Okay, so when I'm doing the matting and layering, I may well just speed the video up for quickness so that you don't have to watch me do every single one. For the images, I have cut these a 1/4 inch smaller so that you can see that lovely paper. So the large ones are 5 7/8 and the smaller ones are 3 5/8. So we're just going to layer those nicely on top of here. Okay, decide which way around you want them. If you're using, I'm going to have mine that way so that the B is not hidden, I think. Yep. Okay. Layer those on. Now what you will need to do in between, before you add your mechanism, is make sure all of these layers are dry. I'm using a fast drying glue, Collal, which has got some kind of solvent in it so that it dries fast. Okay, I have inked the edges with Tea Stain by Tim Holtz, but you can use anything or you can leave them plain. Now if you aren't able to access my digitals, just have a look what you've got. Find some of you, it's a great way to use up those scrapbooking papers sat in your crafty hoard that either you're saving for a rainy day that's never going to come, or you know, you've just not got around to using them. Get them out, this will use them up beautifully. Okay, now that looks lovely. Okay, and also the layering will add stability to your card, but it's really important that you give these paper layers now time to dry. Otherwise your mechanism is going to be adhered down onto a soggy base, and we don't do soggy bases. You don't want a soggy bottom. Okay. Rightio, which way up's that one? That way, because it's got writing, I don't want it upside down. Although I don't suppose it matters really at this point, seeing as it's a square and I could just turn the whole thing the right way. It doesn't matter, but... Alright, so I'm just going to leave all of these to one side to dry off while we do the scoring necessary for the mechanism. So, this bit sounds complicated, but it really isn't. Alright, so what the first thing you want to do is score this piece, okay, at either end at 3/8 of an inch. Okay, now my light's glary, but 3/8 of an inch, what I do is I go from the side and I literally count the notches. 1, 2, 3, okay, 3/8 of an inch. It's 1 mark below quarter. It's 3/8 of an inch there, and then here we're at 4, so I'm going to go down 3/8. 1, 2, 3. If you physically count them, then you know you're not going to go wrong. And then you want to score it at 2. Okay, there we go. Right. So now using a pencil so that you can rub it out, and a good ruler. I'm going to use the Tim Holtz one, although I'm starting to think that maybe this is not 100% accurate, this ruler, but we'll go with it. And what you want to do here is you want to measure from each score line in. Can you see the score line? So from there, on this bottom edge, you want to measure another 3/8 of an inch, and then from this side measure another 3/8 of an inch inwards and make a mark. Okay, so just putting my ruler there. So 1, 2, 3, I always count, little pencil mark, and then the same here. 1, 2, 3, that's that one, and there. Okay, so I'll just leave a little mark. Then what you want to do is along this 2-inch score line there, where it's the middle, go up from the bottom 1 1/4 inches and make a mark. 1 1/4. There. Okay, so you've got 3 marks on your card. Can you see them? Hopefully. So now what you want to do is, using your ruler, you want to join those 3 marks up using your scoring tool. Okay, so I'm going to use the slanty side. So I always use the thinnest end that I can find, put my stylus on the dot, and then line up and then score. Now it is a little bit forgiving, is this card, so don't worry, don't think, oh, if it's not, you know, scientifically precise, it won't work. This one does still work if you're not absolutely spot on. Some pop-ups, you've got to be very precise. This one's a little more forgiving, which is why we're having this as one of our first ones. Okay, so then what you want to do is, we need to fold down that centre line, and then you're going to have a slant at each side of that centre line. So you want to fold that gently, and the other side gently, and eventually it will start and go inwards. Can you see how it's starting to push itself inwards? When it starts to do that, you want to push it in together, line those edges up, okay, and that is going to be your mechanism. So then get your bone folder and give it a really good squeeze. The biggest burnish you've ever done. Okay, so you've got this shape here. Okay, now your inner cards are going to stick to these little triangles here inside that fold. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to have a look at your card bases, decide which one's going to the left and which one's going to the right. Okay, and then you want to go that way, don't they? So turn them to the right, okay, and then turn this one to the right and turn it over. Okay, then what you want to do is adhere a small amount of glue on there, okay, and then you line these two up together and you slot them in there and adhere that bit like so. Okay, or if you want to do it really, really carefully, you can put some glue on and do it one at a time. Tiny bit of glue. So the first one in there, line it up with the bottom of the mechanism. Can you see how I'm lining it up so it's all flush? Okay, and then that goes there. This is probably the easiest way to do it if you've never done one before, because then you can definitely tell that you're not sticking the wrong card on the wrong bit, or you've not got it upside down. Okay, because this fold is not easy to mat after you've attached it. Okay, so then a tiny bit of glue there. Okay, holding that at the same time. Decide which way up that's going, and that's going attaching on there. Okay, like so. It's really important that you take your time thinking about that stage. Alright, and then what you need to do now is patiently wait for that to dry. Make sure none of it shifts and it's lined up at the bottom of that mechanism. I'll see if I can turn it around and show you. See the bottom of the mechanism here? The bottom of your cards will be lined up with that. Alright? Okay? Okay, we're going to let it dry and then I'll be back. Okay, so once your mechanism's dry, make sure that nothing's stuck, and that is what you'll have at the back. Okay, you'll have that kind of a look. If you've got that, nothing's all stuck down, nothing's all falling off, you're good to go. Okay, if it starts coming apart, go away and leave it longer. It has to be dry. Now, for quickness of the video, I'm going to use tape on my mechanism. I would strongly suggest glue, but this is really good tape, so it will be fine. Okay, and you put that on the 3/8 of an inch flaps that we've mitered. Okay, so what you do is, let me just double check which way. Right, so it's going that way, so open it up, see which way it's going, close it again, turn it to the right. So you've got these flaps, these attaching flaps to your left. Okay, now you want to have this mechanism kind of central within the card first of all. Okay, then go right up to the edge. Alright, line it up and have it kind of this bit central, top and bottom. Okay, then put your finger there on that bottom corner, on the bottom right corner, and just tilt it ever so slightly away from the edge. Okay, I've watched, this is not my invention, I've watched about 100 different videos on how to make this kind of pop-up, and I've tried it several ways, and if you just do this little bit of a manoeuvre here, so it's flush up against there, there's no exact measurement, you hold your finger there so that that stays straight, and you just literally move it to probably just over your paper layer. Okay, just a tiny bit. It just makes a difference. Don't ask me why, because I'm not a rocket scientist. Then what you want to do is remove the tape on the top layer. Okay, so just look carefully. You've got your flap there, your attaching flap is on your left. Okay, so think about it carefully. Straight edge at the top, then we've got that bit there and that slanty bit there. Okay, I'm over explaining it so that you don't do it wrong and frustrate yourself. So now you just hold that safe and just close the card. Okay, and press. If you're gluing, leave it until it's dry and don't over glue so that it's splodging out. Okay, then you can turn it over, open your back. Okay, make sure this bottom, this corner here doesn't protrude over your card. Alright, that's it, won't work. Remove the tape, close it. And hopefully I've not stuck it on upside down. Right, and then it opens. Ta-da! We've not done it upside down. So there you go. Alright, now it will stand up firm so long as you've not overscored your card at the back, or not oversoged it with glue, or not allowed it to dry. If it's flopping flat like that, okay, just leave it to dry a bit longer, it'll be fine. Okay, right, So now we come into the front. So what I've got is I have just found a frame in my stash and cut that out of some rose gold, and then I've just homed in on an image and I've just trimmed it ever so slightly larger than my frame. I'm just going to have a look whereabouts I want it. I want it about there. Okay, so I'm just going to glue it down. You could do anything. You could just cut another you know, square shape. You don't have to do fancy frames and everything like that. So I'm just eyeballing this to put it in the middle, press, and then I'm going to add my frame over the top. Okay, dots of glue. Oops, I've just filled my glue bottle up so it's coming out a bit fast. So I hope I've explained the mechanism and all of the ins and outs of it so that you don't make mistakes. So if you feel like I've gone on a bit, that's why. Sometimes things are easier to just do than explain, but you know, I want everybody to be able to have a go. So now I'll be able to layer this over my image and gently press that down. Get it straight. There we go. Happy with that. Press it down and leave it to dry. Now obviously you can decorate further. There you go, you've finished your card. Okay, beautiful. Now you can decorate further like I have, but I don't have these bits prepped. By adding sentiments, I added this sentiment so it just popped off the edge, but as I was adding it I was just mindful to have a look where the edge of the card was before I added it, and then I just made some little handmade flowers, added some stickles to complete the card. So I hope you like that. I hope you'll give it a try, and I'll see you again next Wednesday, because on Wednesdays we make cards. Bye for now.